Hey everyone, let me introduce myself. My name is Jenisa Hanny. I'm a hotel operation program student in Universitas Multimedia Nusantara. Today's video is dedicated to fulfill my Pastry and Bakery Production's final exam assignment. And this video, I'm going to talk about the history of French baguette. Even though you never tried before, but I bet you have heard about it. And today's video, I'm going to giving you some knowledge more about the French baguette itself. Without further ado, let's move on to the video. A baguette is a long thin loaf of French bread that is commonly made from the basic lean dough. A baguette features a chewy interior riddled with holes and a crisp, deep gold crust. Now let's talk about the history of a baguette. Actually, no one really knows the true versions of the history of baguette, even in French, but there are several myths that people believe. The first one is baguette is a foundation of the Parisian metro. Back then, there are workers in metro constructions that worked to cut large loaves of bread at lunchtime. Because they were carrying knives, the deadly fights burst daily. To reduce that situation, people in charge for the constructions of the metro was asked the baker to create a longer and thinner bread loaf, so it will be easier to cut the bread and no need to use the knife. The second myth is baguette created after a law forbidding bakers to wake up before 4 a.m. Because of this regulation, the bakers were tend to create a type of bread that didn't need as much time to rise as the other traditional bread, which hence the creation of the baguette itself. The third one is famous French General Napoleon Wars. At that time, bread loaves were in a round shape, so makes the transports of the bread hard to do. Because of that, a longer and a thinner version was created by bakers to make the process of transports more easily to the soldiers. That is how the baguette created in this version of meat. Last but not least, baguette invented in Vienna, Austria by August Chang. Some people believe that the baguette would have been invented in Vienna by an Austrian baker named August Chang and then imported to France during 19th century. But this myth is not that popular in French. So yeah, that's more or less about the history of French baguette that people believe. Now let's talk some fun fact about the baguette itself. A French baguette only needs 4 ingredients, which is flour, water, salt, and yeast. That's all. You also have to know, during the 90s, the French ate almost 3 baguettes a day per person, but nowadays only half the baguette they will eat. As you know, a baguette is a national symbol of France. Fun fact, in French, it is considered rude if you invite someone formally to a dinner but do not serve a baguette to be eaten alongside the dishes that serve. So in the future, if you move to France and you want to invite someone to a dinner, remember this. You'll thank me again later. Now let's move on to the recipe of the baguette. The ingredients that you need: 700 grams of bread flour or high protein flour, 65 grams of all-purpose flour, half tablespoons of instant dry yeast, 1 teaspoon of salt, also 520 grams of water. And then for the methods, first in a bowl add yeast, flour, and salt, then mix it together. And then add water and bring it together into a sticky dough. Next, cover the bowl using cling film or plastic wrap, then proof it for around 45 minutes. After 45 minutes, take out the dough from the bowl. Using wet hand, knock back the dough and giving it 5 until 6 turns. Do this procedure start from the proving 3 more times. After the last 45 minutes, take out the dough into a well-floured working table. Divide the dough into 4 equal pieces and pre-shape it. And then cover it with plastic wrap and let it relax for 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, shape the baguette, then put it into the baker coach. Set timer for 20 minutes and let it rest. Heat oven up to 220 degrees Celsius. Place a tray of hot water in the bottom of shelf of the oven. After 20 minutes, place the baguette on a lightly greased baking tray. Spread a little bit of water and score the baguette using sharp knife. After that, put the baguettes on the oven and bake the baguettes for 16 until 20 minutes. After the baguette is fully cooked, place the baguette on a wire rack and let it cool. Well, tada! As simple as that, the baguette is ready to be served. Now I'm going to give you some tips and tricks for making the French baguette. First tips is using scale. In the making of French baguette, using scale to measure the ingredients is really important to get the accurate amount of the ingredients, so the French baguette will be perfectly made. The second tips is using wet hands. Because we can't use or add any flour while fold the dough, make sure to wet your hands, also scraper, when do folding the dough after each of the brewing times. The third tips is spray extra water. Spray extra water when the baguette dough enter the oven to make it extra crispy. Well, yeah guys, I think that's all about the French baguette that I can share to you guys. Thank you so much for watching.